Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Sarah Berry Show. I am so excited. If you are still here, I am sending you just a virtual hug because, as you know, this is a brand new adventure for me, but I'm picking up a little momentum. And by that, it means I'm getting friends in the car, you guys. We got somebody in the back seat. Actually, she's in the front seat today. She is being spotlighted, and I am just so excited and honored that I get to bring on these people that are much more exciting and interesting and smarter than I am and get to hear their stories today. And I say this every time, but you are in for a treat. You get to meet my friend Erin, who I have never gotten to hug in person, but she knows it's coming someday. And I've already told her to get the guest room ready. I don't even care if I sleep in a sleeping bag in her backyard. You guys are in for a real treat today to meet my friend Erin. So without further ado, I want to introduce her. If you are listening, that's awesome. But this is one where you're going to want to tune in over on my YouTube channel if you're not, because I don't know if Erin knows this yet, but I'm putting her over on YouTube. And we're going to get to see smiling faces in person today, which is another treat as well. So welcome, my friend Erin. She is in Akron, Ohio, and I just think that we all need to be really jealous of your podcast setup that you have today. I'm coming to you from my kitchen, and you are in your beautiful backyard. So hello, my friend Erin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am so good. This is so exciting. How long have we been talking about doing this?
In a little while.
I guess the question is, how long have I been peer pressuring you to do this with me?
Years? Is that too much of a stretch? I think years.
I was trying to think, Erin, when did we meet officially? Was it 2000?
It may have been 2018 or 2019. So it's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit. And I should tell you guys how Erin and I connected. She was actually on the team that helped rebrand my website and has been kind of the behind the scenes tech. But little did she know that I was going to be hunting her down about something completely different today, which you guys are in for a real surprise. So normally on this show, if you followed, what are we? Episode number 9, I think is what this one is. Erin, can you believe I'm on number 9?
That's fantastic.
Yay! Well, it's due in very large part to you, my friend, because you, I think, would sit in these web meetings that we would have when we should have been talking about email funnels and all these businessy things. And there was just something about you from the beginning that, first of all, I knew we were going to be friends. And if we lived in the same town, I think we'd get in some really fun trouble together, like the good kind of trouble.
Yeah.
But there are just a handful of people in your life that see in you what you don't even see. And my hat is off to you, my friend. I feel like sometimes when, not only if you're running a business, but you're working on a passion project or something that you care a lot about, sometimes the people in your own life that are closest to you think you're crazy, or they don't see it, or they kind of half-heartedly say, well, that sounds cool, but you just know deep down they don't know. And Erin, I just can't even tell you, from the moment that I started kind of talking about something other than DIY and crafting and these things that I've kind of gotten known for in my business, it was like you already knew, and I can't even explain it. And I'm just so appreciative of that. And I think what I want our message to be today is, if you guys are out there doing a hobby, or you're trying to start a business, maybe you've been in business for a while and you've lost a little bit of sight, maybe, or you just feel like you're in this season where things aren't really chugging along like they should, sometimes the best thing that you can do is step completely aside and find somebody outside your industry. And you find out, sometimes you learn even more from them, and they come to you with fresh eyes and a fresh heart, and they see something that maybe you don't. And Erin, you're that person for me. So
wow.
With that being said, tell everybody about you. We don't want to hear any more about me. We want to hear about what you're doing and why I want to go rip everything out of my flower beds and start completely over. And
oh goodness. Okay.
So give us an overview.
A really, really short overview of my family is I'm married to a wonderful guy who's extremely patient with me and our life. But he is a teacher. We have 3 children who I can honestly say I am ecstatic to be their parent. They're just really cool kids, 16, 14, and 10. So we are in the out of toddler phase, but it's moving quick now. I will say anybody with toddlers, it goes quick after they come out of the toddler phase. So it seems like it doesn't end, but it goes fast afterward. So
it really does.
Yeah. So I started my work career in corporate America, working for a bank in the IT world. And 8 years in, decided I had these babies at home that I needed to be at home with. It was too much of a heart tug for me to be there. So I stayed home. And after a few years, several years, I put my toe back in the water in the work world, working at our church for a little while, and then bumped into the web world, which was my original passion of when I graduated college anyway. So it's really kind of cool how I've gotten full circle. In the midst of that, we moved, which we'll talk about, but we moved here. But our original house that we had these big spaces to grow, and my grandpa was a gardener. And so there's always been this kind of draw to plant and see what we can grow. We've done vegetables, we've done flowers, we've done all different kinds of things. I even love landscaping and putting things in, and the challenge of putting stuff in that's minimal but not too fussy but looks nice. And
so Erin, in our next life, we're going to be landscapers together. Are you good with that? Okay,
I'm totally good with that. Isn't it funny how you go through life and you're like, man, I could have done that. That would have been
so awesome. Cool. Yes.
Yes. And that's one of them.
Yeah.
So 2018 was a funky year. I was not working at the church anymore. Needed something to get into. My youngest was in preschool going into kindergarten, I think. I'm losing track of time. And I had been watching on Instagram, as many people find their interest there. Erin and Florette. And I'm like, I would love the challenge of growing dahlias and doing flowers. How cool would that be? And it started just as a little seed. It started as something small. And the best advice that I had read from her, which she was very generous and still is very generous with information that she shares, is start small. Start small. You don't have to have the entire field of dahlias. You don't have to have the entire business ready to go. Just put some stuff in the ground and see what happens. So we ordered, we started that year with 12 tubers, which is how a dahlia grows. They look like little potatoes. And we tucked them in the front bed of the house. We didn't have this perfect place to put them other than the front side of the house. So there were literally bushes here, a blank space, bushes here, and I tucked them right there and then moved down the road. And there's some more in front of the front door. Our neighbor across the street at the time came over and said, "Why are you putting potatoes in your front yard?"
Isn't it funny how a flower that's so beautiful starts like on the other end so ugly?
It is so, and they really, yes, they're really not pretty, but I've learned to love them now. But so that was the start. That was 2018. The really cool thing about dahlias is that when you put those tubers in the ground, they grow, and over the course of the season, they grow additional tubers. So at the end of the season, you can divide them and you have more. So if you've got good stock that year and good growing conditions, you can double, triple, quadruple the number of plants that you have in a given time. So,
well, I have to, as a little side note, I don't mean to interrupt you here, but I have to tell people, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I was messaging you and I had been cleaning. I call them, because I call everything by really technical terms around here. I just call them Dr. Seuss flowers, but I think they're called alliums or
yes.
And if you guys haven't seen them, jump on Google and look, but they're the coolest little thing. They have like this super, super long, skinny stem, and then this beautiful, I think they come mainly in purples and whites, but it's like this globe shaped bloom on them. And I live in Wyoming, which is also known as the windiest place on the planet, pretty much. And I'm thinking, these poor little things, I bought them through a fundraiser for my kids once. I thought, well, I'll buy those. Heaven knows I don't need more chocolate and cinnamon rolls. But so I bought these. They're the coolest things, and I thought they would blow down, and they don't, but I was weeding that flower bed the other day, and I'm yanking them out, and they came out with these little bulbs, and so I'm immediately, it's really good to have a flower friend in your arsenal, you guys. If you don't, you need to get one, and I don't really wanna share Erin, but I'm pretty sure that she would share her knowledge if you wanted to contact her, but I'm like, "Erin, should I throw these away, or should I keep them, or what do I do? I don't wanna throw away cool stuff now that I know about this." So, yeah.
Keep them is the answer. Keep them.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I can't
And
even
fun
read a
fact,
flower bed without thinking of you now. So,
those are in the onion family, by the way. If you've
oh,
ever or you've
interesting.
not seen onions grow,
Okay.
we grew onions this year, sweet onions in our backyard, and they don't get near the big puff, but they have a similar flower, but they're white. But they're all in the same family.
Interesting. Interesting. I did not know that. Okay.
There you go. You learned your thing. We're good.
Yes, we're good today.
We're good. So yeah, so I would say for a couple years while we were at the other house, I was dreaming of having this, flower farm, and um, it was just an absolute joy to go out on our front porch and pick flowers, and I would drive them to a neighbor or take them to somebody at church or whatever. We just
Yeah.
that was the joy. That was the absolute purpose behind growing them, was to give them away. And so we had this, going in the back of our mind that we'd love to have a flower farm. And we also knew where we lived, we wanted to move a little bit. We like space. My husband loves trees. He loves to plant trees. So we've had our eye open for years to look, but had never gone to the point of putting our house on the market and doing the actual hard legwork of moving. We just weren't
Yeah.
comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
So I think Sarah got hooked on this story.
Oh, you guys, I'm like, Erin, you have to talk about this. I am so excited. So, I have a real heart for entrepreneurs and just anybody that I don't even want to say takes a leap, but it's always interesting. I call it the start story. I absolutely love, I don't care what industry in or what your, philanthropic thing you're doing. I love to hear where it started. And lucky for me, I got to be like, I had a front row seat to kind of this start story that looking back now, Erin, it was so meant to happen. Like the whole thing was meant to happen, but please share this amazing story with my
I
listeners. They
really
will
wish
love
I could
this.
go back and tell myself it's
Yes.
okay. It's okay.
Yes. Yes. It was just so much fun for me to sit through a computer screen and watch this develop for
Oh
you.
my goodness. And you literally saw some
I
of it
did.
develop.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So you have to tell them. Go tell us your start
Okay.
story.
So we all have had our time on Facebook, right? And Facebook Marketplace is a great place to sell your things and buy new things. We did not buy our house on Facebook Marketplace, but that got us here. So my husband went to pick up $2 garden tools for me. They happened to look like they'd be great for helping us grow dahlias in the house. And he went to pick them up, and he came to what is now this house. The woman who lived here gave him the tools. They were $2 each.
Yeah.
And she said, "Do you want to look around the house?" She's like, "We're getting ready to sell, but we haven't put it on the market yet." And he said, "Well, sure." And he calls me on his way home, and I'm like, "What? What are you doing? You walked through a stranger's house?" So he came home and he said, "You've got to come look at this." He had not even looked in the backyard. He just looked at the house. Mind you, we had spent 13 years at our other house getting it just to that point where you're like, it feels like we've put our mark on this place. We can rest. There's no work. We're good.
Yep.
But there was just enough that we weren't ready to sell. Like there were still a couple of things. So a couple days later, we all come out to this house, and we looked through the house itself real quick, and it's a ranch, and it's little. It's actually smaller than the other house that we lived in. But we walk out on this deck, and what you see right here are 2 hemlock trees, which is the namesake for our little farm, hidden hemlock. So I have always loved hemlock trees. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But there's hemlocks here. There's hemlocks lining the back of the yard. It's 2.3 acres. There's a basketball court. There's
Oh
a
my
this.
gosh.
There's all these little things throughout the backyard that we were like, that's for this kid. That's for that kid. This is for me. So
Can you tell me about the guest room for just a moment? Can we talk about that?
well, so the joke is the kids, the very first winter we were here, which was the winter leading up to the pandemic,
Yeah.
the kids built like a little, it's not even a real fort, but it's a stick fort. So it looks really cool.
That is a real fort, Mom. That is a real fort.
They loved it. It was perfect. But the joke has been that's grandma's in-law suite, which is really, I mean, she gets it, but it's not where I'm putting my mother. But then my husband, we did get chickens after we moved here.
Yeah.
We built this really nice chicken coop. So that's the structure available, but I don't recommend it.
Like I said, I have a sleeping bag. I am perfectly fine with those accommodations. So
oh goodness. So yeah, we fell in love with the space and the potential. I think really we saw dreams that we had could be fulfilled here.
Yeah.
Matt has always wanted an orchard, and there was the perfect place for the start of an orchard. And we've wanted chickens. We knew we wanted chickens. And so there was space here to do that. And there is a perfect plot for flowers. So we did jump. We sold our house and bought this house in 1 month and moved. So I think maybe it was a 6-week total time frame. But we had projects to finish at the old house and listing and packing and moving, and it was overwhelming. But I think every single one of us has said it has been just the absolute best unknown choice that we made. So
you know, Erin, in January, it's only, I don't know how many years this has really been trendy, but you know, everybody has this word of the year that they do now. First of all, I don't do New Year's resolutions because I mean, let's just be honest. How long do those? But I have kind of gotten on this bandwagon of the word of the year. I just think it's so interesting to kind of simplify and think of one thing. And for some reason, I don't know where this came from, but my word this year has been backwards, like look backwards. And I'm like, well, who wants to do that? Like, we need to be moving forward and doing this. And it's like, no. I just keep coming to look back, go back, go back. And I think this story reminds me so much of that. It's, you know, everybody says hindsight's 2020, but really sometimes you look back and it was all happening right before you and it all makes sense now. And it was so simple. It started with these garden tools and you almost, I think I did an episode, I think it's episode 3 or 4. You'll have to go and listen to it, but it was, I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I think that at 5, 6 years old, whenever they're asking you in school what you want to be, did you say you wanted to be a flower farmer or have a hobby farm? You know, then it's like, well, I don't ever remember saying, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, you know? And I think if you look back over all of that, we all have like these underlying themes and currents that have always been kind of a part of our story.
Yes. And
just the one that you decide to jump on and grab a hold of usually ends up being the one that grows and flourishes. And I think now that I'm talking to a flower farmer, there's so many analogies we can draw from all of these things.
We could do this for a week.
Yes, we can. And so, by the way, I'm going to have you come back because I think that we have so much ground to cover with all of this. But I think, Erin, like I said, my podcast is focused a lot on people that are maybe at home and maybe they are thinking they need to want to make a little money on the side, or you know, they just need an outlet. And I think they need to get back to themselves a little bit. But I think people make the mistake sometimes if it's not always progressing, or maybe it's not making money, or it's doing these things, that they get pretty discouraged. And I want to call it a business model. It's not really, it's just, I'm obsessed with the Hidden Hemlock page at this point. I just need, it's the story behind it that becomes really important. And I think anybody that's any kind of growing business knows that the story becomes seasons.
Yes.
And everybody thinks the seasons are what's in those beautiful vases behind you, the end product of that, which I want to talk about here in a minute. And I need to see
Yes.
closer. But talk to me a little bit about your ability to be patient, to plan and prepare. And like you said, you threw some seeds in the ground. You mean you didn't know what you were doing and you didn't have a plan? It's like, I think people shy away from that so much. And I think there's so much to be said, not only about the unknown, but the faith behind what we do and being able to embrace the seasonality of what we do and understand not every day is harvest day. Not every day you're going to be able to put a big, beautiful bouquet of dahlias on your dining room table and say, ta-da. It's actually the 99% of the other things that you do that you can arrive at those moments. So talk to me a little bit about what it means to embrace the seasonality of your passion project.
Goodness. Just the metaphors all just,
oh, I know.
Oh my goodness. I will say, patience is hard for me. And I really honestly probably didn't get patience as a practice until a couple years ago. Honestly,
Yeah.
you know, when I got out of school, when you start your career, when you start your job, when you start your kids, it's that let's do it. What's next? And sometimes it's looking at that whole calendar year instead of that current moment or that season. And that's a hard one to learn.
Mhm.
So I can't tell you. I don't know how you learn patience other than practicing it, right?
I don't know if you've had this experience when God and I had a little chat about, hey, God, I need some patience here. Give me the patience for this. Come to find out, he doesn't just give you patience. He gives you ways to learn and practice it. Yeah. So I don't pray for that as often anymore.
Yeah. It is a practice. It is totally a practice.
Yeah.
But, you know, so even if we just walk through a year, there is a little bit of planning, but I think it works well in life. I need to know where to plant my flowers. I need to know that they probably shouldn't go into full shade, right? They need to have light. And I think we all need something. We need light, we need inspiration. We need a place where we can stretch out and grow. And that's what I have to look for the flowers every year.
Mhm.
The soil is so important, that foundational piece of it. We have, and I'm not sure how your soil is there, but we have here straight clay. We were putting
Can you hear this sound? Let me give you a sound. That's what our soil is like here.
It's all rock.
It's rock and it's clay and it's sand. It's not good.
Well, the sand can be okay, but yes, it is. There is a challenge to, we were very spoiled at the other house. We had this lovely, wonderful topsoil around the house. And here we just don't have that. It is absolute clay. So we also know that every year going in, we need to make amendments. We need to do what we can to get that foundation ready for the flowers to grow. So we're always looking toward that. So even right now, we pulled some flowers out because that row is done of our garden. So we put in a cover crop, which is something that goes in and grows and then gets turned under to feed the soil essentially. So we always have an eye to what we can do to keep that soil going because we're always pulling nutrients out of it. What's our foundation? What are we going to grow in?
Yeah.
And I think that's huge for any project that we have in our lives. What are we anchored into? What are we using as our foundation? Because if we just let it go and run off, which I have a story about, it doesn't work out well.
Well, and that's such a good point because I think we get so, like I said just a few minutes ago, we get so focused on what we're working on and what the thing is that sometimes we forget about what we're putting the thing in or building the thing on or starting the thing with. And, you know, a lot of people talk about starting a business or a project by taking a leap of faith. And although I do believe there's a huge element of that, I think we have to build the runway. We need to get the topsoil right, the foundation, or the thing doesn't grow.
Right.
And that is so important. That's a really good point that you made there.
Um, and then, there's the practices, the daily behind the scenes, if you will, work that my whole family puts in for the farm. We call it the farm. It's not really a farm, but it's our farm.
The farm, Erin, and I
We
believe
call it a farm.
Yes.
But really, and this year was not a great year, and we take that as it is. But weeding, my goodness, to be on our knees
Yeah.
every day or every week and being out there and pulling out the things that are distracting the flowers or keeping the flowers from growing or taking the nutrients and pulling out the things. I know in my own life that's not flower farming, I have a tendency to pull out my phone
Yeah.
and scroll a little more. And so that's, my own personal weeding is taking a little check every once in a while. What's distracting me from what I really want to do?
Yeah.
So I think that's the weeding is huge. Watering is huge, right? We've got my flowers need water. They need to grow. They need
Yeah.
something fertilizing. So,
But wait, Erin, do you just water them one time and then they're okay?
yeah, no, ask my kids. I was talking to one of my sons this morning. He said, well, you've got to talk about watering. And I said, yeah, tell me about watering. What do you know about watering? He's like, well, it's really heavy
Yeah.
because this is our house here. And way out there that you can't see is where the field is. So
Yeah.
we don't have water out there.
Yeah.
We have rain barrels at the house and they get to carry and a 5-gallon jug of water is 40 pounds. So we're building some strong boys here.
Yeah.
We have a cart. We're not mean. They pull it.
Depends on the day, right?
But it is work. It is work. And
Yeah.
so, it's definitely, it depends on the season. Right now we're watering a little less. Might be watering a little more in July and August here. June, probably not so much because we get enough rain, but
Yeah.
absolutely there is a consistency and a rhythm and showing up even on the days we don't want to show up to do it.
And you know what? I would almost argue to say those are the most important days anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
The boring behind the scenes, you're in your dirty rain boots for the 150th day out there slogging water. But all the things that people don't see sometimes are the most important, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say it totally pays off. I love to share the garden. So if I have somebody come over and they want to pick some flowers or have flowers for something, I love sharing those moments. I love when they get a chance to be blown away by the flowers. But I will say, even just a few minutes before we started here, I went out and went by myself into the field, and it is so good for me.
Yeah.
Just go stand in that. This has been a rough growing year for us. But in the disappointment and all of the things that we didn't expect to go well, that didn't go well this year, we have butterflies and bees and hummingbirds that just love this garden. So it's full of, even though it's not what we expected it to be.
Yeah.
So the moments where I can stand in the garden by myself or with my husband or with my kids, and it's just quiet and the breeze is going and the butterflies are going, that's worth it. It's totally worth it. So,
and now those get quiet moments that I think, we live in such a noisy world and such, I come back to motherhood because it's what we're in the trenches, sister, you and me.
Oh, yes.
We're in the trenches, and anybody that says, oh, if you just get past this and it gets easier. No, they lie.
No, they lie to you.
No, there's amazing things about each level, but right when you get something figured out, then the next thing comes along. And I think it is vital more now than ever to intentionally get quiet. And I wish I had a dahlia patch to walk through to get quiet. I have dandelion patch. Does that count?
There's other things. There are other things you could do.
And I think that it's really trendy, and we hear this everywhere where you need to meditate and you need to do these things and you need to do that. And it's like, all I know is that when I sit still for any length of time, all I think about is the things that I'm not doing. But if you can get practiced at not doing that, and I think we all think it has to be a real structured, you have to sit for an hour and you have to journal, you have to, no, I think pick the thing that works for you. If it's a walk through the dahlias, do it. If it's just sitting on your couch and feeling how soft and cozy that feels because you haven't felt it since last week, do it. I think it's really easy in our world now of social media and, like you said, scrolling. It's such a camouflage to what's really going on and what you need to be doing to feed your soul. And I think Erin, me, that I think wearing a badge of busy is not cool anymore. And this hustle culture and this go, 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 and we're overscheduling our kids and ourselves, and we're stressed. And I think your story is so interesting because it is so cyclical, and you have to be so faithful to those cycles and those seasons to really see the reward at the end. And sometimes the reward's not what you think. Like you said, you had a bad growing year, and guess what? That's okay too. You have more dahlias on your porch railing right now than I have ever had in my life. So success.
You want to see them?
Yeah, I do want to see them. Bring them closer. Success looks so different to different people.
It
God.
Totally does.
Yes.
It totally does. So I feel like I'm sharing kids with you.
I feel like I need some of those kids in my life.
Oh, well, we'll get you there, sister. So this one, they're all tangled up. This little
gosh,
one,
it's
big
huge.
white one.
You guys go to YouTube right now and look at this flower is huge.
This is called Floral. And the first one that I ever grew was literally bigger than my face. So, I mean, it's pretty big.
Oh my gosh.
It's called a dinner plate. That's the variety. Those are one of the first ones that we ever had in our dahlia growing lives. So, and I love these guys. I think I've learned to love the ball variety. These are so much fun to me.
Look how symmetrical they are.
Yes, and
they don't look real.
They're very real.
You guys need to see Erin's face. Just seeing her face right now. She's floating out of her chair at the moment. This just makes my whole day.
Oh my goodness. This is a new one this year. Look how funky that is.
I love that one.
It's so much fun.
What is the color called?
Goodness. I would call this like an apricot almost.
Yeah.
Peachy.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah, so much fun. But I have to tell you this story about these guys. So these were this is the same plant, same flower.
Yeah.
We grew this year, we expanded because this was going to be the year we were going to try to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really nerve-wracking for someone who's not really, I don't know, I kind of feel like, I mean, I put the things in the ground and we water them and do the work, but I also feel like I didn't make these things do the thing that they do. Yeah. So I kind of feel like a little funky selling them because I didn't do the work. But we were gonna try it. We were gonna go big this year. This was the breakout year. Yeah. So we put all the chips in. We had over 120 tubers, just in dahlias, and lots and seeds that we had planned, all the things. We got the tubers in the ground, and there's a timing to it. Dahlias are they're not super fussy, but they do require a little extra. Yeah. And got them in the ground. And where we live, what we've learned is that 100 acres worth of water comes over our backyard when we get these big rains. Oh, no. And so we had an inch of topsoil, or the inch of the top layer of the garden, which was clay, rushed over and down. And we had dug trenches for these tubers and put great compost. It worked last year. We had great success last year with this method. And because of that rain, that clay went over top, capped over the dahlias, and dahlias don't like to be wet. They need water, but they don't like to sit and soak and be wet. And so with life circumstances and some things that happened with our family, we weren't able to kind of get in there and rescue them the way we may have. And so we probably have at best 10 plants producing right now. Wow. Out of the 120.
Oh boy.
But we have like this big row where I do a rainbow of colors and put everything in order. And it's my, organized way to do it. And my husband he is the persevering one. He is the patient one. And we had kind of these castaways that were sitting on my workbench, and he would inspect them because you need to look for the little eye on the tuber. And it's like, I think these have something. Can I just have my own little row that I dig? And I'm like, sure, whatever. Just put it in the corner. It's fine.
Yeah.
So he dug out his own little trench, and he's like, this is the misfit row. And I looked at him and I said, that's the row of hope. Like, it's not the misfit row. That's the row of hope. And I'm telling you, Sarah, I have no clue. We have never bought a dahlia like this before. I don't know. We had seeds from last year, seedlings, and a dahlia. If I want to grow this flower again next year, I need to grow it from the tuber, because the seeds create a brand new, very completely different plant every time. So every single seed that you get from a dahlia is going to be a completely different genetic flower. So we grew seedlings last year from seed. And I don't know if this is one of them, but this came out of the row of hope. Like, this was just let's throw them over there. And
Erin, I proclaim, I declare that every year we need a report from the row of hope from Hemlock. Like, I will single-handedly be following this row of flowers in your garden, because I'm a sucker for the underdog and the castaway.
Me too.
You give your husband a high five for me right now, because that you could have easily thrown those away, and look at that.
I know. And it is probably one of my favorite ones this year. It is just an absolute delight. So, and I think we get to name it.
I think so.
Dahlias are known for their names. So we've got to figure out a name for this.
Okay. So you guys, I don't know where you want to send people, but Erin, they need to go follow you on
Instagram. Instagram, Hidden Hemlock. I'll put a post up and then you can give me names.
Do. And I'm going to share it in the show notes. But you guys, this is an amazing segue to, first of all, Erin and I could talk for, 27 hours without stopping. And then we would just stop for like fresh coffee, and then we keep going. But I think, number one, Erin, I'm having you back. I'm peer pressuring you to come back and do this again. Please.
You peer pressured me here. So
yes, I know. And I'm going to keep at it. But
I'd love to come.
I think the bigger story that I want all of you to take from today is faith. Have faith. You can get the $2 garden tools. You can plan and prepare. You can research. You can do all these things, and they work. Absolutely. But it just comes back to, what's the story? What's the story behind all of this? And if you are in your little hidden corner of the world thinking that nobody cares about tubers and what I'm doing, you're wrong. People, sometimes it might not always be for business. It might always have a bigger thing other than just, it's a place for them to come home and check in, and they love your story and it needs to be shared. And Erin, you have an amazing one. And I just, one more part of the story. Is it okay to talk about Amelia for just a moment?
Absolutely. You have been so kind to check in on Amelia.
You guys, I literally lay in bed sometimes wondering, I know this says something about who I am as a person, but I kind of need to know how Amelia is doing. And Erin, I think we need to just, first of all, I'm giving her a shout out. I'm also coming to meet her, but can you please tell us who Amelia is and how this fits into the Hidden Hemlock story?
I will apologize for not bringing her and showing her right here, because that wouldn't.
Next time
we'll get her wrangled up. So we did the thing that you're not supposed to do when you get chickens, and we named them all, because you're not really supposed to name livestock. And I have a 10-year-old daughter. You can't not name.
Oh, no.
So, Amelia is a chicken. And we have learned all about different kinds of parts of speech or sayings that we have in our vocabulary. But poor Amelia was the bottom of the pecking order, literally. And she got pecked. And we knew it for a while, but didn't know what to do about it. And I think I told you a couple of weeks ago when we talked, we did all of our research online because we're new to all of this,
Yeah.
and bought this stuff that smells like kids' grape medicine, like the grape syrup medicine,
Yep. Yep.
and tea tree, like it's got tea tree in it. And so we were
Uh-huh.
supposed to put this on her back to kind of make the other birds not want to be around her. She
Yeah.
looked like she ended up with like purple streaks in her hair because it
Well,
got on
that's
the
kind of like
feathers.
that's all the rage right now.
It is
So
the
Amelia's
rage.
on
She's
point.
fashionable. She's still purple, by the way. Like the feathers are still purple. It's hard to take pictures of chickens. But my son, my oldest, had said, Mom, we need a chicken saddle for her, which is a thing. I won't go into all of the details why, but you can look it up if you want. But basically it's to protect their back.
Yeah.
And so I one random day said, okay, well, let's make a chicken saddle. And I Googled a pattern and
Oh my gosh.
put it out of paper and then, put it on top of the fleece. And I was going to do all fancy colors. Amelia's black and white. So I happen to have black and white fabric and it kind of blends in. So it goes over her feathers,
Oh
over
my
her
gosh.
feet, and she's still wearing it. I've not touched it since I put it on her. And I think if we can personify a chicken for a minute,
Yeah.
She's strutting her stuff because she can't get picked on anymore.
Amelia looks fabulous, you guys, and I'm just going to leave you in suspense. You're going to have to do the work to go see just how fantastic this chicken looks. And I, of course, like any good friend would do, propose to Erin that, Halloween is coming and it's okay to think about chicken costumes and, just consider it, I think there's a lot of things going on at Hemlock Farm that people don't even realize could be
There's
amazing.
a lot. Somebody had told me about goats in pajamas. That's a thing.
Yes. Oh,
Google
yeah.
that. Maybe you told me about that a couple years ago.
Oh,
and then
it sounds about on
maybe
something that I would
and
say.
chickens in pants, I think. And I swore to myself I would never ever sew or put anything on my
Well, a long story long, you guys, the things that you think are so easy to discount and they're not interesting, they're phenomenal. They're the best part of the story. They really are. And please give my love to Amelia today.
I will, for sure.
And we better sign off, but Erin, I'm having you back. I'm coming for you again. We have so much more to talk about. You are
There's so much.
You are a blessing in my life and a friend, and you don't know the impact that you have on what I do. So,
well, it is mutual, and I am so excited for what you have coming up.
Well, and that I think how much I love to give things away. And I, of course, would have been organized and would have gotten these in the mail, but that is also not the thing that I do on time. But I have something for you that I will be mailing to you. And I almost thought, well, I need to send you flowers, but I'm like, who sends the flower lady flowers? That's a terrible idea, Sarah. So I thought I want to do something handmade for you. And I have something more serious that I'll be sending with it. But the thing that just hit me in the heart about what I wanted to give to you, it's completely ridiculous, but I hope that you'll put it in a desk drawer somewhere that you can see that that I am rooting for you, my friend.
I was going to say earlier, you are a cheerleader. I love it.
I made you a little tiny pair of pom-poms, but it's not just because I'm rooting for you. It's because you have like blindly rooted for me. And this is just a reminder that I'm here for you and you're here for me. And some of the best things about our lives are the ones that the things you don't see coming and the people that get planted there. So I will get you your pom-poms, but you just had to have these. So
thank you.
All right. Before we sign off, I have some questions that I like to ask anybody that joins me, and they're completely silly and ridiculous, but I'm going to ask you. So are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. Rapid fire time here. Number 1, time should always pop quiz. Time should always
be filled with fun.
I like that. Okay. Number 2, taking breaks
is necessary.
Amen, sister. Okay. Number 3, every day I must
stop and breathe.
Yes. Number 4, you excel in your business or life when
you find joy in what you're doing.
Yes. Amen. Number 5, one lesson that helped you most in the early days of your business or hobby, we'll say in your case, was
getting on my knees and doing the hard work.
That can be interpreted lots of ways, can it, Erin?
Lots of ways.
Number 6, what do you want to leave your kids with that you did not have growing up? Not to get heavy, but that's pretty heavy.
No, but boy. Well, I want them to have a sense of adventure, and I want them to have, they don't have to have it perfect. They just have to go try it.
Yep. I think we could all take a little bit of that advice. Number 7, if you could create a law that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
Oh, everybody grow flowers.
Wouldn't our world be more beautiful if we all
would be so much
went
fun.
with one kind?
Yes.
All right, number 8, what is something that you know to be true that many people might disagree with you on? Nothing like being put on the spot, huh?
Okay, so I'll go goofy. I'm wearing my Converse today, and
I
those
love
are the best
Converse.
shoes ever.
I love them. Yes, I love Converse. Why do people not wear more?
My
than
husband disagrees with me, but I love them.
Oh, I love them too. All right, number 9, what is the biggest lesson you've learned in the last 12 months?
Oh, goodness gracious. One,
Yeah, exactly.
let's summarize it into perseverance.
Yeah,
That's the short word answer to that.
I
Keep
agree.
going.
You know, that's one of those words that just kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Erin, you are amazing. I am so grateful for our time together. Let's do this again.
I'd love to do this again. Anytime I get to spend with you is good time.
Oh, I agree. Can we do it on your porch though? One of these days. Do you
Sure.
like iced tea? I think iced tea and the back porch situation.
I will have iced tea for you and lemonade for me, and we will just sit and
Amen.
talk for hours. Works for me.
It's a date, and you mark my words, I'm going to see Hidden Hemlock in person one of these days. So
Come on over.
all right, you guys go find Erin on Instagram. I'll post all the information so you can find her, and you too will be wondering what Miss Amelia is up to. You just wait and see. So thank you for carving out a piece of your day for us today, Erin.
Absolutely. I loved it. Thank you for
All
having
right,
me.
bye.
Bye.